Yo, what's up guys? So let's go over everything in Secret Utility Box, going over is it worth actually picking up, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about some newer Yu-Gi-Oh cards at the start from Cyberstorm Access. We're actually getting new support for the Amazement archetype. So this is a brand new card called the Amazement Dominator Arlecchino. So it's a psychic effect, light, level 7, 2600 attack, 2200 defense points, and it says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. The first part says you control an Amazement monster, you get a special summon this card from your hand. Then you get to add one Amazement family faces from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Second part is during your opponent's turn, it's a quick effect, you target one other effect monster on the field, shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, special one Amazement Administrator Arlecchino from your deck, then change the targeted monster's attack to 0. Well, considering you can only use the first part of the effect, and you're going for I guess there's a different variant of it. If you could get out the same card, just convert a lot of things to 0, that'd be very interesting. But it looks like you can only go for it once. And then on top of that, it does not negate the effect. I really wish as the quick effect, you got to negate the monster's effect, making it 0. That would have been like a much better, or at least pop the monster. It doesn't need to have all like, you know, the effects, but I still think that that'd be kind of what people would want. But let me know you guys' thoughts on the new Amazement support. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump into the full list of the Secret Utility Box and kind of go over, is it actually worth picking up? Because we may get it in the TCG in some other forms. Sometimes these get parted out into different structure decks. Nonetheless, we're probably getting this in 2023 in some form for some of these newer cards. Now, I'll go over briefly the effects of the newer cards, but I want to go ahead and highlight like kind of what's here, and is it actually worth picking up in terms of money value. I'm not sure what these are going to be priced at in the TCG. I'm guessing at least like $20 to $40 is like kind of the price point if they were to release it. Again, we don't know any information on like when we're getting this in the States, but it just came out in Japan. Anyways, what's actually here? So there is rocket support, so lets you, like this card over here, I'm going to briefly summarize the new effects of the cards to make sense of like, is it worth picking up maybe for you? So there's rocket support. Rocket Coder lets you use him as material for a code talker monster, which is kind of cool. And then if it's used as link material for a Boral, you get to use one other dark monster in your hand. So you can use 2 monsters in your hand, which is actually pretty good if you really want to go for certain things. Now, Oddish Rebellion Sea Dragon is actually not that bad for an effect. So it's a rank 7, but the Pendulum effect is you can special summon this card just during your main phase. You special summon it, then you can attach one dark monster from your graveyard to this card as material. Then you can only use the effect of it once per turn. So it's 2 level 7 pens, but if you Pendulum summon level 7, you could Pendulum summon this face-up card in your extra deck, and it can't be used as material the turn it's summoned. But you can attach a material from this card, then target up to 2 monsters your opponent controls with 3,000 or less, and pop them. And then if it's destroyed, the monster's going to go to the pen zone. So basically, it's comes out, it's got 3,000 attack, and it pops 2. Maybe you can go for some OTKs, but I don't know. Is it going to be super meta? Maybe not. Next up, we have Last Hope Numbers. Now, even though it is a Galaxy Eyes card, a lot of different decks can run it, and I think it's one of those cards where some people may splash it in, and it actually will be winning games. So what you do is you pay half your life points, you get to target 2 monsters in graveyard, and for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can only special summon monsters from the extract not counting this card's effect, and also special summon both targeted monsters, but their effects are negated. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you get to exceed summon 1 number monster using those 2 monsters. Obviously, there's a lot of good number monsters. It's just pay half your life points, and because it doesn't like negate your battle phase, you can OTK with it, and I still think it's a card that some people will want to actually try out in multiple different decks, and it's Galaxy Eyes card. The Galaxy Eyes in general, like even with the newer support, I don't think it's going to be S tier. Cash tiers are basically should be dominating the next upcoming formats. Next up though, with Assault Synchro, this card is kind of, I feel like it's very mid. It's like Assault mode support in 2022 and / 2023 when we get in the TCG. But during your main phase, you get to special summon it, you take some damage, and then you can only go for Synchro monsters, and then while it's face up in the monster zone. And then a face up dragon monster you control is tributed or banished except during the damage step. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target one of those monsters, and special summon it. Unfortunately, it's only face up dragon synchro monsters. Now, why could it not have been assault mode monsters, considering it's an assault card? Yes, I understand the assault modes come from synchros, but you really want to bring back your assault mode Stardust Dragon, which is like the only assault mode I think people really like try to make a deck around. And even nowadays in 2022, 2023, like setting up your whole goal is to like set up your assault mode. Okay, go for your Stardust. It's just not that relevant, I would say. You need multiple negations, and if this card allowed that ability to go ahead and do so, then I think it'd be a lot better. Like just at least to have 2 negates for for the deck. Yeah, I don't think it's going to really be doing anything, or it's going to be like an expensive card. Next up, we have AzneyesWhitedragon. This card has some potential though, but some requirements are actually kind of difficult. So it requires Element 2 Hero Neos and an armed dragon monster, and it must be fusion summoned. And if this card is special summoned, you get to choose a dragon monster graveyard and destroy all monster opponent controls with equal or lower level. And then when it destroys a monster by battle, you can make it gain this effect during the main phase as a quick effect. You contribute this card to special summon one Element 2 Hero fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring summoning condition. Any hero has some potential for some crazy play, so keep your eye on maybe some combos with that. Next up, though, this is another card coming out in Secret Utility Box, and I believe this is our final one here. There's 6 new cards. Dark Magician, the Magical Knight of Dragons. It requires Dark Magician at level 7 or higher dragon or warrior monster. And it says if your monster attacks defense position, you can do piercing, and then once per turn, when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get to inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. And if this card is destroyed, you get to special one Dark Magician and one Gaia the Dragon Champion from your hand deck, extra deck, and or graveyard. So interesting that they're having like Gaia with Dark Magician, but for the most part, yeah, I think this is more like a collector thing. Maybe this is going to be like the chase card in the set. Now, going over, is it worth it in terms of the entire set? Because that's the whole point of this video, right? Going over the full spoiler list, I'll mouse over it really quick, but I think the most important thing is like money-wise, what's the money card in here, right? So there are these bonus cards, but sometimes these come out in like other ones, so I'm not going to go over them. Specifically, I'm just going to go, I went over the newer cards. Now, these are just reprints, and these are the prices. Keep in mind, as of right now, things are subject to change. So, starting right off, a really great reprint. This card was hitting $10. Gishki Abyss. Now, if you guys haven't seen Gishki, they are actually going to be pretty good. You can get like multiple negates. This is the Sprite variant that had like 7 negates, which basically just means it's a GG. Normanius is a really, really good card. So, getting a reprint of Gishki Abyss is definitely welcomed, as it hasn't had a reprint here in the TCG, and it's like $10 just for like the lowest edition. I believe, yeah, it was Hidden Arsenal, Steel Swarm Invasion. It's been a while since Abyss has gotten a reprint, and since this card is not a once per turn effect, yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, this is kind of like the chase card. Like, you might be thinking, what, the chase card's like a $10 card? Yeah, it's a pretty big set too. It's like a 100 card set. Another really nice reprint is Cybeast, another card coming out in Extreme Victory, which was years ago. This is like, yeah, it's like 10 years since we've had a reprint of Cybeast, so that's another nice welcome addition. Rika Glamour, I mean, this card is more recent, but it's still like a $15 card. Rika Plants are still relatively relevant, so another like chase card out of this, at least as of right now. Alcee is also here. It's like another $10 card. There's the Gusto. I didn't even know this card was still like expensive. For some reason, like, yeah, it's like $7. There's Quick Launch, another card that's like a couple bucks. Most of the stuff in here is pretty cheap though. Arc Pendulum, I didn't even know that card was $8. A lot of like random stuff. There's like Fluffle, Penguin is like $2. Most of the stuff is like cheap at this point. There's Optimize, the lowest one I guess is $5. But keep in mind this is priced as of December, and when they get reprinted, this will obviously affect the price, but it gives you an idea to see like kind of what's getting reprinted. Over here's another $5 card. Exterior was like a $3 card. Another $5 card, Galaxy Expedition. So in terms of the full spoiler list, I'm curious to know what you guys think of this set. Do you guys think it is a good set? Is it something to skip out on? For me personally, is it actually worth buying? To answer the question, I would say it is not worth buying. If you're just interested in maybe a couple of these cards, I would say just go for the singles. There's not like a chase card or a reprint in here that's like a $100 card, or even the cards that are brand new coming out, which we did go over all the effects of like the other cards. None of those cards stick out as like a $100 plus card, but that's the Secret Utility Box. Let me know, guys, if you plan to pick it up, if we do get in the TCG in some sort of form. But yeah, that's the full spoiler list. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here and you do want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh videos in the future, subscribe and turn that bell so you don't miss out on knowing what is actually worth picking up. Thanks for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.